Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, Is there such thing as intelligence? Well, this is based on a question someone asked, and the question is, Hi Nick, this question suddenly came to mind. If intelligence supposedly uses thought to manifest itself, the question is, if no one can determine whether their thoughts have the kind of creative content of the great sages of history, and instead they are repetitive, related to past events, thus reinforcing an identity, then there's nothing to be done but accept what appears on the screen, even if it may not please anyone, like karma. Okay, I'm going to share briefly what I responded in writing, and then we'll elaborate a bit. I said, the thing is, I don't understand what you mean by the word intelligence. Because when you use the word intelligence, if you're talking about what we understand as intellectual knowledge, that intelligence itself is a thought in what is. What is, capital I, whether you call it God, essence, oneness, etc., is not intelligence. It simply is. If anything, it could be called the field of infinite possibilities. So, those called sages are instruments just like you and me, through which understanding are expressed that others perceive as a special gift or wisdom they possess. But ultimately, we are all that capital T. There are instruments used to play the role of engineering experts, musicians, astronauts, doctors, street sweepers, as well as villains and saviors. And each one appears to have its own intelligence. But what is, capital I, precedes all what is manifested, which includes the intelligence that some appear to have. And although a thought may appear repetitive, it is merely a spontaneous occurrence that takes place, and if it is seen stripped of meaning, it continues on its course. But that which you are in essence remains immutable, unchanging, and undisturbed. And remember, it is not a matter of accepting or rejecting anything. The underlying reality simply is, regardless of what is projected onto it. In that sense, karma, as we've been taught, would not make sense because karma would belong to someone. And what we're talking about is that you are, R capital A, which exists before that someone appears or manifests. Without anyone, there is no karma, there is no thing, nothing, no thing, only what is. So, as you can see, the simplicity where all this is pointing to, which the mind confuses with concepts and everything, is that you are. Right now, you cannot negate the fact that you are. And this is it. It's all there is. Now, if what you are is seen as such, perfect. But when the mind, the thought, begins to add meaning to it, projects meaning onto it, what you are remains. It just happens to be overlooked, overshadowed by the thought, by the interpretation, by the conditioning. So here, we're not rejecting, or should I say suppressing, whatever happens. We're simply seen through the veil by being, by simply being. This is so obvious, and yet it seems to be so difficult because we're so used to going to the mind to interpret it, to give meaning to everything. You see? And that's what I always say right now. If you don't identify with any thoughts, what remains. And this is not something for you to intellectually tell me, oh, what remains is this or that. It's pointing to the fact that is. Right now, right this moment, as you rest in beingness, which is what you are always, even when the mind is trying to tell you what you should do, how this is or should not be, or whatever the case may be, you simply rest in what you are and notice how life unfolds, because it's unfolding anyway. You see? All the questions are has to do with the seeming I. A person that has questions wants to know about all this, but in reality you are always, you can never not be. This is why we are always pointing to that. That is referred to as the peace that surpasses all understanding. It's so simple, so obvious, but the mind cannot grasp any of it, because the mind wants concept. Give me something, I need something to do, or, because if I do something, eventually I will become what? What you already are. You see? A lot of times when people come with all the problems and everything, it's just, again, they just want to hold on to a sense of identity, and they want their problems solved, not realizing that the cause of all problems is the belief that I'm a separate self. That is the only cause. And the mind would go, okay, I understand that, which means that they didn't understand it, because it's not to be understood. This is just what is. Because then the mind goes, okay, I understand that, but how do I deal with my regular life issues? Well, you have to remember that when you know that you are, life issues may present themselves, but also the solution for them will present itself according to the script that you're supposed to live. I noticed that in the comment I said that we're all instruments, in a sense that we're all appearances or seeming appearances in what is, and some even play the role of villains. And you may say, what if I'm supposed to be a villain? Again, you don't have to worry about that, because life is not leading you right now to become a villain. Life is leading you right now to get to know who or what you are. Therefore, you don't even have to worry about that. I was just basically pointing out that everything that seems to manifest comes from the seeming same source. I always keep saying seeming, because this never even happened, but it appears as if it happened. So therefore, within that context, there's another way of living this experience that is not of this world. And this is the practicality of this. The practicality of this is that we're reminded always of the fact that I am. That's it. But as long as the mind has ideas of what it thinks it wants, this is completely overlooked, because that one thing is for whom? I want that, I want this, I desire that, but for whom? That's the question. And the mind try to throw a curve. That means that I cannot have things I would like, I desire. No, what I'm pointing to is that when you rest in the peace that you are already happy. That's it. And if desires may show up about things that you could have, you wouldn't even consider things that you want to have. You consider as expressions for you to enjoy. If you're supposed to have a brand new car and the opportunity shows up and you have the brand new car, you enjoy the brand new car, but you're not attached to the brand new car. The brand new car does not define you. It's just an appearance. And you enjoy it for the time that it's supposed to, whether it's for the rest of your life or maybe for a couple of years, I don't know. Same thing with everything. That's how you don't make gods of anything. See? Don't put another God before him, like the Bible would say. It's just another thing. Just don't attach yourself to anything of this world, which is another quote of the Bible. Leave your treasures in heaven, when they cannot be stolen or anything, because where your heart is, your treasure is. So technically speaking, it's a way of living in peace, living happily, while you continue to do whatever you're supposed to do. If you're supposed to play a rock star, you'll be a rock star on stage, but you don't believe the role, you see? You see it as just a way of expressing. I enjoy when I get inspired to create music. I actually have another song who a friend of mine is doing the piano, so maybe I'll show it to you when it's done. It's fun. Does it mean that that will lead me to somewhere? No, it doesn't have to lead me anywhere, because this is all there is. That's it. And we're pointing to the peace that you are right now, which is the treasure, because in the end, that's what everybody wants. In one of my books, What Happens When You Let God, Rewritten, I wrote that you're better off losing everything that you want, but maintaining your peace of mind, as opposed to having everything that you want at the expense of losing your peace of mind. Because in the end, everybody wants peace of mind. Have you noticed that? They just think that they're going to find it as a consequence of whatever they do. And the problem is that if they're not doing what they think they should be doing, they're not at peace. And interestingly enough, if I think I'm going to be at peace when I get what I want, once I get what I want, now I'm afraid of losing it. So no matter what, it's a losing streak. You're between the rock and a hard place. But the liberation we're pointing to here is the fact that you are. Right now you are. You see? You cannot not be. It's just that the mind right now is translating your present moment experience with a thought about a future or past or whatever, and that judgment of how things should be or how they are not the way I want them to be is the only obstacle to the peace that is lurking underneath, which is what you are. It's not even lurking, the thoughts are lurking, the peace is just basically there, permanent. It's like a trapeze artist who's freaking out. He's afraid of letting go of the trapeze bar because he's afraid he's going to die, because he or she doesn't know that underneath there's a net. So the net is going to be there, it will always be there, waiting for you to let go. Not until you decide to let go, waiting for you to let go, because you cannot hang on for too long. You see? If you want to put this to the test, go to a kids park or something like that, and see if you can find some bars you can hang on to. Just hang on to them and see how long can you hold on. Well, we're holding on to this identity for maybe longer than if you go to a bar and hang from there. Maybe you can last, seconds or maybe a minute, whatever the case may be, maybe more. In our case, hanging on to the identity, it seems as if though we can hang on to it for years, a whole lifetime. But in the end, at some point, there's a part of us that is calling for that peace that you are, and is saying, let go. And the mind doesn't want to let go. Not realizing that you are safe right now. You're safe, you are everything. It's not that you have everything, you are everything. But as long as you believe you're that separate entity, of course, that's what it appears, as if I'm separate. And I'm afraid that I may lose my turn, my opportunity. Then I try to fight for those things that I think they're mine. I don't want anybody else to get them, because you don't know that they are all part of you. You see? So we're going back to this recognition that I am. Right now you are being. While you're watching this video, you are being. It doesn't matter how much you have or don't have in the bank. It doesn't matter how much food you have in your pantry. It doesn't matter what the physical condition may seem like right now. If you don't let the mind translate your present experience, you're experiencing the peace that surpasses all understanding, that it's always with you, that is always you. And when the mind goes, yeah, okay, that's fine, but how do I put food on the pantry? This is not the issue. The issue is that right now you're letting the mind translate the present moment experience, and consequently you're experiencing the result of that. The answer is, I don't know. The answer to life is, I don't know. Because what we are is. And I trust that if I rest in I don't know, I experience the peace that passes all understanding, that has nothing to do whether I have food on the pantry, we have nothing to do whether the body looks in a particular way, which have nothing to do whether there's money or not in the bank. And paradoxically, is that when you rest in that, you actually open the space for maybe the opportunity to see how life takes care of itself. But we're not putting the attention on the individual. As a matter of fact, many times I'm not surprised that when we find ourselves in those crossroads, it's kind of like life saying, you know what, the crossroad is not the end, but I need to put you there so you know that your source is me, and it's not you, it's not the things that you claim of this world. And the mind goes crazy. What's going on? Why are you taking this away? Because life is trying to show you that you already are everything, and you don't need to hang on to anything, so you can experience this peace, and you live in peace while you seem to be living this human experience. Again, this is not about trying to turn into a positive thinking or inspiration video. No, it's not about that. I'm just pointing to the fact that life is. My experience have showed me that over and over again. I don't have to know where the next meal is going to come from. Always shows up. Sometimes it appears as if I have money enough to be able to buy, and sometimes it appears that I don't know what's going to happen, and before you even know it, I mean, in the past, it's just the way it happened for me. Many times, over and over again, to the point that I realize, life, you're in charge. Because when I think I have things under control, the carpet is swept away, so to speak, and everything is upside down. Until you finally let go of the paddles on the boat, and you put them in the boat, because the boat is designed to go head to the ocean, whether you like it or not. You may not understand some of the path you have to go through. You may not understand why you have to go through that dark forest. But don't worry, there's a river in there, and the river is destined to cross the dark forest, to keep on going, to lead you back to the ocean. And in this case, the ocean is you. The forest is the thoughts. You are what you're looking for. You are all there is. And if you don't believe the content of the mind, if you don't believe the thoughts, then you laugh at the forest instead of being panicking or afraid of the forest. If you look at the forest, oh, it's supposed to be dark right now. Okay, I know that life is taking care of me, because I'm resting in the fact that I am. And once again, I reiterate, things are perfect right now as they are. And the only thing that seems to make them imperfect is the thought that suggests it's not perfect. And these thoughts are attached to a sense of identity that says that I am a separate entity, that I'm an individual. These videos are about the recognition that I am. And right now, if you don't identify with the content of the mind, you are. You cannot negate the fact that you are. This is all we're pointing to here. It's not that I'm this individual who now hope things will get better. No, things are perfect just as they are. It's just the belief in this individual with all this different conditioning and beliefs and everything. This is where these are the obstacles to the fact that you are, to the fact that you are the love that you're so much seeking in objects, that you are the completeness, the abundance of life itself that you're seeking in pieces of paper that you think that they value you and they make you worthy or not, or objects, whatever the case may be. You're not only valuable, you have no value because your value is infinite. I mean, you are. What can I say? And right now, if you may be going through challenging experiences, I'm not trying to disrespect or disregard your experience. I'm not trying to say that. I'm simply pointing to a possibility that might have been overlooked and actually has been overlooked. And the possibility is what happened right now if you simply surrender completely to what is right this moment, and you simply say I am, and rest in I am. You see, that I am give you a sense of, it's an openness, and that I am is not disturbed by anything or anyone. This is the invitation, resting in the I am, and see how life unfolds, because it's doing it anyway. It's not that if you remember that you are, you will not go through the forest. No, you still go through the forest if you have to go through that particular forest in order to get to the ocean. The difference is that you will go through the forest having a party instead of petrified. You see? You'll go through the forest peacefully because you trust that there's a love that is actually leading the whole, is in charge of everything. And this is what we're pointing to. Right now you are. And love is taking care of everything. Once we believe we're this separate entity, it appears as if love is gone. Love is not gone. Love always is. You are love. We're just seeing how we get distracted by thinking we're other, we're something else. No. Love is speaking to you right now. Or is speaking through us right now to remind us that the fact that we are. And notice. You see? And that's it. This is all remembering here. That's all. These videos are always going to be reminding you of that. And always put it to the test. Don't take anything I said as the absolute truth or whatever, because it's not about you putting your faith in me. It's about you having your own experience right now, right this moment. If you don't believe the content of the mind, the thoughts will be there. But if you don't believe them, what remains? Don't try to figure this with the mind, because the mind will not give you an answer to this, but your experience, the direct experience, will dictate that what remains is, you can call it peace, you can call it tranquility. I rather call it nothing. I just rather you just simply just be appreciated. And that is the same experience that is with you always, no matter how the appearances may change, no matter what kind of thoughts may appear, no matter what sensations may appear. That remains. Rest in that, because that's all there is. Well, I don't know, this is the inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.